Welcome back once again. This is Jorge Dixon
And how we doing?
going for WNTT Radio. And today we are talking about the Northeast bracket. Got a lot of good matchups here. I'm real excited for this startup, and we're going to just jump right into it. First round matchup, Fresno Slaters against the Carbondale Crazies.
Well, you got the Fresno Slaters with an incredibly impressive, schedule this year. Really impressive wins. They have, wins against Minneapolis, Detroit, Fremont. These are all teams that are in the tournament. They just finished their conference tournament out with a win. They beat Fremont and Reno. Reno's a 2 seed over on the other side of the bracket. They beat them by 14 points. Fresno, they just haven't really had. They've had one little hiccup against Reno. They lost by 3, but I just don't feel like that's a good indicator of how this team plays.
Going along with that, I think Fresno's a great team. They had a game versus Reno. It was a de facto play-in for the number one seed, a number one seed in the tournament, and they won that game. But I just really like Carbondale. They're good in all areas. They can play. They're okay. I can't do this anymore. No, I got Fresno. Fresno's good. They're gonna handle them decisively. I do want to add though that Dennis Ladner and Jesse Goldwasser, they're both seniors, getting their chance to shine along with James Rice.
It's fun that they were able to win
Yeah.
their tournament, make it in this, but they're not gonna be able to even hold their own very much against Fresno in this game.
Yep. Okay, moving on. We got a great matchup. We have the Worcester Cult against the Hershey Peanuts.
Oh boy.
And this is a good game. What are you thinking about this one, Howie?
I mean, to me, Jorge, this is the worst 8-9 matchup of the bunch. Just the worst talent. And to be fair, there are some great 8-9 games. 8-9 games. This is just the worst one. Hershey comes from a conference that sports 4 teams that had invites to the NTT, but as I mentioned before, I just don't think that any of those teams are that great. Worcester comes from a conference too, which provides Cambridge, a great team in themselves, but Tyron Nickel, he is a extremely talented shooting guard, and I love Bruce Powell. I think Worcester's gonna be, I think they're gonna take this game, maybe by 10 points.
Yeah, I mean Worcester's great. One of my old rivals when I played back in my days for the Geoducks. I love playing Worcester. Always get stoked for that game, and I never lost to them. That's one thing many people don't know about me, and it was just real. I love that when I played. Being Jorge and everything. But I think Worcester's good. I think that. I mean, you got Tyron Nickel scoring a lot. He's a senior leader. Gene McMillan, Nathan Baker, they're all good. Worcester has a great senior class, but they're gonna be hurting next year, I think.
They will be. But this year, I mean, in the present, they're going to do well. I think Coach Drenophone's really going to get these guys up. He's a great coach, a great postseason coach. And I agree with what you're saying. Next year, it's going to be trouble in Worcester. But right now, let's just worry about this game. Hershey's not going to be able to handle it.
Yeah, Hershey's good, but the thing is, when you look at their schedule, look at the wins they have.
Exactly.
Even in the Inferno, they beat the Turtles, and then they lost to Evansville. They lost to Idaho Falls. They beat Youngstown, iffy team, not a NTT team. 76 Philadelphia, not an NTT team, and Springfield, not an NTT team. I mean, outside conference one, I don't see a lot. They beat Jacksonville, but that's just not enough for me. I'm going with Worcester. Moving on, we have with the 5-12 matchup, we got Cincinnati Bear Claws against Orlando Running Rebels.
Well, you know exactly how I think about this. I don't even think Orlando deserves to be here. I mean, they do. They won their tournament. We'll give them that credit, but they don't deserve their talent level is nowhere near NTT talent right now. They snuck through that conference 12. But they really have no chance to beat Cincinnati. The Bearcats, they're really going to be ready to go in this one. They've proven they can play with the big boys through their Inferno campaign. I just don't think they're going to be that amused. by Orlando.
Yeah, I honestly think Cincinnati's one of, if not the best team out there. They're just great. Orlando had a tough schedule. They didn't seem to get it done. They just didn't seem to get it done. The only teams they lost to the Indianapolis 85 Bears twice.
Close games.
Yeah, and they beat them
Granted.
once, but they fell up short against Montgomery. Their only semi good win was Worcester. They beat Dearborn and Trenton too, but
Worcester, they were struggling at the beginning of the season.
but they're not Cincinnati.
They aren't.
This team isn't Cincinnati. Cincinnati's a great team.
They'll go as far as Elias Webb takes them.
Yes.
I mean, he's their guy.
I love that
he's
team.
the man.
I love this team.
So, we'll see.
So moving on, we're gonna get down to the Pittsburgh Gamblers against the Montpelier Skirts.
Okay, if you look at Montpelier, first of all, they're the Skirts. I'd really like to talk to the coach about that name. Second of all, you look at their schedule. They've only played, granted, not one. They've only played 3 teams with winning records, Jorge. They've only played 3 teams with winning records. They've beaten one of them. I mean, they beat Denver, the team led by Jude Scott. But they just, if you don't play good teams, you show up in the NTT, get off the bus, and it's like, you think you're playing the NBA, Jorge.
Yeah.
They just want, it's going to be a high school team against a college team here.
Conference 6. I don't need to say anything else. They're from Conference 6.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about this team anymore. We're moving on. Pittsburgh by 50.
Okay. Okay, don't get ahead of yourself. Pittsburgh by 20. 25.
Okay.
25.
And now we got the Annapolis Ironclads against the Birmingham Bruins.
Oh boy, Annapolis Ironclads, coached by B. Sheik. Everyone knows this team. Probably the most popular team in all League 5.
Yeah. They're the Yankees of sim basketball because of Drive the Lane. It's like everyone wants to be like these kids. They grow up wanting to be like them, and it's everyone's favorite team,
Mm-hmm. And Sheik he's finally put Daryl Stahl, the backup shooting guard, into the starting lineup.
Oh my gosh, finally.
With Chico Curry. I love that call. I don't know what took him so long. Maybe he can explain that later. I think Daryl Stahl's a great player.
Yep.
And Chico Curry, it's Chico's team. He's a senior.
This team goes as Chico goes.
They do. Back when the Ironclads lost to the Rockford Ambassadors back in the Inferno Championship, there was a bet that Chico Curry, whichever Chico lost, McFarland or Curry, would have to change his first name. And right now, I think Curry's still dealing with all the paperwork with that. But
yeah, I think he's switching it to Chicken Curry, if I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
But yeah, we haven't even talked about Birmingham yet. Birmingham, they're a good team. They're not a great team. They have Sheldon Coleman. He's a great shooting guard. They lost to teams like Worcester. They lost to Glendale and Amarillo. Teams are just not really great teams to lose to if the selection committee's looking at you. Yeah. So that's why they got such a low seeding. Just haven't played great teams.
They did have one good win against Montgomery.
They did, but how good is Montgomery?
Yeah.
Without Sutherland.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's going to be Annapolis in this one.
Annapolis. Pretty decisively, 15, 20 points. Moving on. Oh my goodness. For the 4th time, Atlanta against Fort Lauderdale.
They played okay. What's the selection committee thinking here?
I don't know.
These teams, they basically know every player's mom's maiden name and the opponents. Like, they know everything about each other. So I guess it's interesting. It's fun for us to see. But get out of conference, please.
Seriously.
These teams.
Fort Lauderdale did not sign up for the NTT so they could play their sister again.
Okay. Might as well just look at a game.
Let's talk about it a little bit at least.
So Atlanta's won 2 of the 3 times. This is gonna be the 4th here. They lost. Sorry. Fort Lauderdale's won 2 out of the 3.
Yes.
They just played in the conference finals. Fort Lauderdale pulled out by 6 points. The Wildcats, they have Shelton and Sandoval. Orville Sandoval is a great player, power forward. He shoots really high percentages. He gets a lot of rebounds. What are your thoughts on this one?
I mean, Atlanta's good.
They
They got some good players. They know how to play, but I like Fort Lauderdale. They have Irwin Church is a great player.
He is.
And Irving Floyd knows how to do it. I mean, there's
You got
not
Rollin Miles.
there's-
I mean, it's a
there's not a weak point on their team. And like there was a lot of hype at the beginning of the year when Sean Hatcher signed that they were gonna be the best team ever to known to man or whatever. But
Yeah, there was hype.
I don't see that for sure.
And
But
see, this is what I like most about Fort Lauderdale is that they outscore their opponents by 20 points per game, and I love that about them. I think that's what's. I mean, basically, there's only so much we can say about this matchup because the coaches and the players can say much more than we can. They know everything about each other. I think Fort Lauderdale's going to win third time this season against Atlanta.
And I think they'll extend their conference winning streak to 5, even though it used to be like 17 million or something like that. It's nice for them to get it up a little bit.
It'll be a fun game.
Anyway, moving on, we got the Austin Razorbacks versus Flagstaff Soul Sonic Force.
What I like about Austin a lot, they just are coming off of a conference tournament win. They just beat Plainview, the Valonia Neck Red. That's a great win. They won by 3, I believe, in overtime.
Killed a pretty decent Stillwater team, I think.
Yeah, so I mean that's 2 wins. Sorry, their first win against Plainview this season. But when you look at their schedule, other than that, they don't really have many wins to brag about. I mean, they've beaten Shawnee, their tournament team. Stillwater's in the PTT.
They got to play Toledo once. They came up short.
I mean, there's just a team. There's a team where it's like you look at them and you don't get too excited about them. You just don't. They have a bunch of scorers who all are almost replicas of each other, all scoring in 13 points in the 13-point per game range. They put up a lot of points. They let up a lot of points. What are some of your thoughts on this, Jorge?
I see Flagstaff, and Jim Long or not, they beat Santa Fe, and I think Santa Fe could be one of the best teams. Any team that beats Santa Fe has won my heart already. And when it comes, the thing I worry about when it comes to Austin is they turn the ball over a lot. They don't shoot great. There's just a lot of
Yeah.
And they're the higher seed.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. They're the higher seed. They're the 7th seed. But we're talking.
Which team's gonna create more momentum in this game? Which team's gonna get more on fire, have longer runs? And I think that to me, that's Flagstaff.
Yeah. All I gotta say is Dwight Grant. Enough said.
That's true.
Moving on to the final game, we have the Santa Ana Shepherds and the Evansville Aces.
Evansville's coming off the play-in championship. We have Santa Ana, though, who, dominated Conference 30. They're going to win this game. I love Evansville, but they're just happy to be here right now.
I mean, I really like Evansville. I'm taking a closer look, honestly. They play in a good conference.
They do.
They play in a good conference. They have a great freshman
They
class.
play a great conference. Let's say great. I think we can make it great.
We can make it great. But let's see. Eric McCoy, great player.
Going to be one of the best players.
Going to be one of the best players. Knows how to play defense. Knows how to do it well. And, I mean, when you look at Santa Ana, nothing really wows me. They're good. But you got Charles Waldrop, Roger Moore, and Paul Lunday know how to play. But, there's nothing that was wow.
So wins against the likes of Los Angeles and Anchorage on a consistent basis doesn't wow you? I mean, granted, they did lose to Anchorage.
It raises an eyebrow.
They did lose to Anchorage, which is a bad loss.
They lost to
by
Yamaka.
17 points. I mean,
Yakima.
They're on a roll. And I just don't think that it's going to end here. I think they're good enough to beat a good Evansville team.
That concludes our show for the Round 1 picks. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned.